Today's story sounds like like something out of a book of miracles, because a pile of ashes that held one of the most valuable biblical discoveries of all times has been discovered. Now, for decades, no one could read what was inside this charred scroll until modern day technology in 2015 revealed written words from over 2,000 years. And guess what? The words came from the book of Leviticus. And if you don't believe me, watch this.
In 1965, the installation of a water pipeline led to the discovery of a 1,700-year-old synagogue in an Israeli nature preserve near the Dead Sea. Inside the ruins of the synagogue, excavators found a tiny scroll that was burned beyond recognition. At least that's what they thought at the time. Here's CBN News Middle East Bureau Chief Chris Mitchell with the rest of the story.
That looks nice.
Near the shores of the Dead Sea is the desert oasis of En-Gedi. In the Bible, it's the hiding place of David and a place of inspiration for Solomon. To the north is Qumran, where the Dead Sea Scrolls were discovered. And to the south, the ruins of Herod's fortress at Masada. Today, En-Gedi is a nature reserve, one of Israel's most beautiful national parks, and the site of an extraordinary archaeological discovery.
The En-Gedi scroll.
The ancient settlement of En-Gedi was destroyed by a fire in the 7th century. After the fire, the settlement was abandoned until 1970, when the ruins of the community synagogue were excavated.
They found within the synagogue the holy place, the Bama, with the Bible, and they found it all in ashes. And in the ashes, they found a hoard of coins, they found a menorah, and they found a massive amount of ashes that already then they suspected were a scroll. But it was ashes.
Forensics experts tried to decipher the rolled-up scroll, which looked like a cigar. But in 1970, the technology was limited, so eventually the scroll was stored at the Israel Museum. Fast forward to 2015, when archaeologist Sefi Porat retrieved the burned scroll and took it to a team of conservators who work with the Dead Sea Scrolls.
One day he walks in here with this, it was still the top of one of the boxes with all these ashes, and says, "Can you please image this?" And I said, "Sefi, you must be joking. This is ashes." He says, "Yes, but they said you have such a system." I said, "Yeah, it's not miracles, though. I mean, it's not as if the ashes can come back to life." Eventually, it turned out that they could. Nobody, by the way, touches the scrolls. I don't touch them either. It's only these 4 or 5 conservators. And we did a CT scan, a tomography of all of these. And already then, it seemed as if that piece of charcoal was the most promising.
Wow.
The Israeli team sent 3D scans of the scroll to the University of Kentucky, where Professor Brent Seals used digital imaging to virtually unwrap the scroll and reveal part of the text. After 45 years, the puzzle was finally solved.
He actually looked and saw that within these layers, he could decipher, he could pull out a layer that eventually turned out to be the first chapter of the book of Leviticus.
No, this is amazing.
And you can see it, you can read it. I mean, how do we know? Because we can read it now.
Wow.
It was amazing. To me, everything is kind of symbolic. And I remember the day that we realized that this is, the book of Leviticus, it was like, we looked at the computer and we said, unbelievable. And I wrote to Brent Seals, "You won't believe what you've deciphered, what you've uncovered."
The En-Gedi scroll is the second oldest biblical scroll to be discovered, and the oldest ever to be found inside a synagogue.
This scroll was carbon dated, remember, to the 3rd, 4th century. Why did this work? Because the ink that the En-Gedi scroll was written with probably has iron in it. We realized that the En-Gedi scroll is different because it has ink, and therefore it is legible with this virtual 3D. It can identify the iron that is in this ink. look how symbolic that the first chapter of the book of Leviticus talks about the sacrifices of the temple. Okay, and here we are, and what happens to the sacrifices? They turn into ashes, and here we are bringing alive these ashes. And this was right before Tisha B'Av, which is the day of the destruction of the temple. So everything was very, very symbolic. We were really, you know, in awe. It was like, you know, we're bringing back to life these ashes.
Quite remarkable.
It is amazing. Even through ashes, God's words still endures. And you know what? The scroll reminds us, that discovery reminds us that the truth of Scripture can never be destroyed. Never, ever, 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 ever. You cannot destroy the word. 2,000 years and the words were there clear for you to see. And the gentleman said it was because it was written in ink on the scroll. Listen, God is real. God is the truth. And I'm telling you this now, there's going to be even more discoveries to prove that Jesus is real and Jesus is not just a king, but is the King of Kings and the only king that's ever died for us. And that is not just a Lord, he's the Lord of Lords and the only Lord that's ever died for us. There's going to be discoveries that's going to prove even the hardest person who doesn't believe, we call them atheists, they're going to have to believe that Jesus Christ is real. And I hope they do believe, because their soul is at risk. And we don't want nobody to die, to go to hell. We don't want anybody to go through, you know what I mean, to go through the pain of hell. We don't want nobody we want everybody to go to heaven. We don't want nobody to die. We want people to go to heaven. We want people to know Christ. And when we have these discoveries, it can help us a lot. So listen, guys, if you've got anything to say about this video, put it in the description below. If you've got any comments, man, I'd love to hear them. And share this video and let people know about this amazing discovery about the book of Leviticus and how the word can still be read on the scrolls 2,000 years later. God bless you all and have a great day. See you soon.